it all started back in, this is so ironic because even though I always grew up as a very girly girl, you know, into like makeup and getting dressed up and stuff. And all those times I went to Tonga, actually, we saw things like Miss Heilala.
Yeah.
Right. But I never ever thought that I would ever, first of all, even go to Miss Tonga Australia and then go to compete in Heilala as well. Like I never thought we'd ever, like I just never thought about it. And it wasn't until I think it was a few years ago. And this is another thing with like me masking. This is another thing, not just masking my emotions. I actually used to, all the way up until only a few years ago, just before Miss Tonga Australia, my Miss Tonga Australia journey, I really didn't ever voice my opinions on things that I believe in. And I'm not just talking about faith. I'm talking about like, you know, social justice issues, things like that. I never ever voiced my opinions. I don't know why. I guess it was like I wanted to be that fun one. I just, and everyone, and this is the funny thing. What happened? So what happened with Miss Tonga Australia was it's so strange. I was watching, I think, the Miss Heilala from the year before, and this is so weird, but it's like I had this thing where it was like a prompt. I don't know that.
Oh,
like,
got you.
It's like I just like got
you
like
you just felt it. You just felt it. Yeah.
I just felt it, and I was like, okay, I don't know what that was, and I was like, is that I was, and you know, people say like God speaks to you sometimes, and I would. This is the thing that I'm not very like I don't live a devout Christian lifestyle, so I never. I was like, okay, what was that? That was weird. And I actually asked my mum. I said, this was before Miss Tonga. I said to my mum, I was like, what would you think if I went to compete in Miss Heilala? And she was like, what? It was funny. My mum actually competed when she was young. But
oh, okay. Oh,
yeah, so back in
like, for sure.
Yeah. So she was so shocked because and she was like, what even? And I was like, I don't even know. Like I don't know. I was watching it and I after Tonga, like all those trips Tonga, I never watched it when I was back home. And then, but yeah, so I was like, that was weird. So I just thought, okay. And my mum said to me, you know what, just keep it in the back of your mind. Just like she was even saying like pray about it or whatever. But you know, think about it first. Like, so I didn't think about it for a while. And then months went by and I think it was December 2018. And this was so random. I wasn't thinking about it anymore. And the director, who's actually, we're really close now, her name's Ange. So she messaged me on Instagram really randomly. And she was like, hey, would you ever be interested in doing Miss Tonga Australia pageant? And I was like, oh my gosh. And then I remembered the whole thing about how I just had this feeling like to go and participate. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I said to her, you know, can you give me a day? Because I actually was very, I guess, you know, at that time as well, I was very like intentional. I was like, okay, I need to make sure if I do this, why am I doing it? I wanted to do it with a purpose. I didn't want to just.
Yeah.
Also, I realized, you know, I guess going through it as a young teenager, I remembered the whole, like, it's like when you like get to your early 20s, you're just like, oh yeah, like the pressure's gone to like really be with the community. But I realized as well, I was like, oh my gosh, like everyone's going to see me. So I was like, I really need to think about this. And I really thought about it for a day. And I was like, okay, what can I contribute? That was my like thing. I was like, what could I contribute to, whether it's our community or other young girls? And I actually reflected a lot on my teenage years too, and like everything I went through. And I, at first I was like, you know what, I would love to get involved in something like youth work or anything like that. And I guess I'm just, what would it, like the platform that it came with as well. I was like, I actually wanted to start a community project, which I'll go into later. But yeah, so I was like, had all these ideas and I was like, you know what, I'll just do it. I'll just see how, and I was like, I'll see how I go. And it was so funny because a lot of my friends and cousins stuff were shocked because I was always known as a girl like who didn't care about anything, and I was very like laughing. I never took anything seriously publicly. Like everyone just thought I was this baby that like just didn't care. And so they were shocked. They were like, I know, oh my gosh. Also, a lot of people didn't realize that I actually was a bit of a low-key like nerd. Like I did love like, you know, school and stuff, and like
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
certain topics that I was obsessed with, but people didn't know that because I just hid it from everyone. They
yeah.
just saw me as like the fun one. And so they were shocked at that too. So they were like, oh my gosh, how are you gonna do for like the categories and everything? And so I was like, whatever, like it'll be fine. And so yeah, so I said yes. I ended up saying yes. Okay, we'll do it. And the whole community pressure to, I guess it all came back. All that, like, realizing when you're a contestant in any pageant, especially island pageant, you need to be like on point with your image, like the way you present yourself, your lifestyle, everything like that. And oh my gosh, bless my mom. And I think maybe because she went through Heilala like back in her day, she actually said to me after about a week or two of being a contestant. It wasn't for a few months. And my mom actually said to me, she said, it's not too late to pull out. And I was like, oh. And I said, Mom, why? We've already announced it. Like, I was like, it's too late. I'm going to have to do it because we already announced it and everything. And she was so cute. She was like, I could tell she was like, worried. And she said, when you do any kind of thing like pageant, and obviously she understood because she went through it, but she said, when you do things like this, like, there's always going to be critics and people criticizing, and they'll pick at you, like they'll pick everything about you. And my mom was so cute. She said I would just hurt her so much to see any negativity about me. And I was just like, oh gosh. And you know what? I really was like, I felt really I just could feel how upset she was. And I said to her, I said, Mom, like, I love you and I really appreciate you caring. And then I said, but going through everything I went through as a teenager, I said, I don't care what people think. And I just had this, like, I said to her, I feel like my whole teenage years prepared me for any backlash or any negativity.
From Polynesian pageant.
Yeah, I was like, I swear, like, I've heard, and I said to her, I said, we can't become slaves to what people think of us. And I said, once you give people the power to, I guess, speak over your life or get in your head with their opinions, with their negativity. This was, by the way, before any kind of negativity even happened. So obviously I was just very positive. I said, if we allow that, we're just going to be thinking about that our whole lives. I said, we're going to be living like that forever. If we just get through this, and if we get through this, we can get through whatever. Because this is times like pageants where you're out there and people can see you. Like it just, you really, like, you get all the negativity and everything as well with the good stuff. So I went through that, and that was, so it was a few months later, and it was really, really eye-opening and like good experience to go through. I learned so much. I grew so much, actually, even in the short journey of Miss Tonga Australia. So, and I met some amazing girls. I loved who are like my friends for life as well, like sisters for life. So it was also like good to meet, I guess, other young Tonga women. And you know what? Going through such an experience together as well, like we all know how we're feeling. Like everyone's feeling the pressure of having to look perfect and, I guess, fear of negativity. And then so when it came to the night, also things like, so we had different categories. It's so funny. I'm just thinking about like preparations was crazy. Like, so for talent, I did flute. And I was actually very nervous about that because no one knew I played flute.
Because everybody, usually the girls, you dalunga, right? You do a dalunga for talent.
Or like a dance or I guess singing or something. Like
yeah.
Talent. And so I was like, I wasn't even just nervous to perform that in front of our community. I was nervous because my family didn't even know that I played the flute. So I had flute. I was my favorite probably categories were probably interview, which is weird because usually people like get very nervous, but that's actually I would rather like talk than like, I don't know, perform, like dance or whatever. And my weakness was definitely Taolunga. So I was actually, that's what I was fearing the most. I was like, I just knew I was gonna get because I'm so unconfident. I've never been a good dancer at all, like my whole life.
You Sinohala?
I'm very I'm like so bad. So I just knew, I was like, I knew that was coming. I was like, you know what? But I said, if I just, whatever, I'll focus on what I'm good at or what I know, like, it will be all good. So yeah, like went to that, and then so after winning Miss Tonga Australia, you know what? Actually, another thing that I've noticed thinking about this with our culture is when we achieve something or when we have our little wins, like for example, things like that. Sometimes we have trouble being proud of it, or I guess sometimes we minimize ourselves, if that makes sense. For example, I even realized that as soon as they announced my name, the only thing I could think of was thank God, because I looked at my family and I was like, oh, thank God, like my family won't be annoyed at me. Like, that was my first thought. Like, you know how usually you see like people crying when they get
yeah.
I was like, oh, thank God, my family, because I was thinking about my family did so much to help with preparation stuff. I was like, oh, I just thank God that like they're not going to be annoyed at me for not. It's just like
for not winning.
It's like they don't even care if you win. They really, it's just, you know, they just want to help you and support you. I just couldn't believe that was my first thought. Oh my gosh. I actually even had an embarrassing moment. I actually fell on stage after I finished my performance with a flute. I actually fell on the stage. So that was another like moment where I was like, you know what, whatever. I laugh. So I just laughed myself. I was like, oh geez. So that was a crazy journey. And then that was actually really just the beginning of a crazy year for me. So that was 2019. So just before everything went crazy with 2020. But yeah, so that whole rest of the year, like we went to Tonga for Heilala and everything. And like you were saying about feedback.
Yeah.
So I remember when with Miss Tonga Australia, obviously my Taulunga got negative feedback, which I was expecting. So I was like, oh, that's fine. I know my weakness, so whatever.
Yeah.
I definitely, you know what, actually one of the things that I got criticized for and I saw, and this is really bad, and I do not recommend anyone ever do this when doing any events. I actually went through every single negative comment online, which is not good.
Yeah.
Like, not like... Don't ever do that. But
what were they saying? What were they saying?
So what the main thing I guess was I got criticized for, and I guess this is a struggle with anyone who either is mixed or grew up with bilingual stuff, is the whole, oh, she's not, like the whole not Tongan enough.
Yeah.
You know? And I even saw one comment, it was like she only won because she's like fair skinned. And I was like, okay, like that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But yeah, like just so yeah, definitely also actually strangely, because my Taulunga wasn't good, it's like the Taulunga category was focused on a lot, but which is weird because my talent and my interview was really strong. So it's like, okay, so you're gonna judge me on my weakness. And like it's like you don't care about what I'm good at. You know, and that's what I guess we're good at. We're good at criticizing our own people, like
tearing people down.
Yeah, whatever they're weak at, like we're good at like cutting them down at that. And I saw, yes, there was a lot of negativity because my Taulunga wasn't good, meaning apparently I don't deserve it. And there was, because I'm not the whole not Tongan enough, which is funny because I was like, and I've always struggled with that, I think, growing up too, like, am I Tongan enough? Like trying to be better and trying to be more Tongan. And then my dad actually, or it wasn't my dad, or someone reminded me, they said, you know, but you do have bilingual blood, so why are you doing that? And they reminded me, and I was like, oh yeah, I always forget that. But like, it's just so we don't get pressure from our other ethnicity.
Yeah.
So it's like whatever culture we're mostly in, they're the ones, you know. It's like I even forgot myself that why am I trying to be like, you know, devout Tongan or whatever. So that was the main negative feedback. And then so I really tried to improve my Taulunga for Heilala. Which I think it was improved. I actually asked some of these girls that I'm friends with who are actually really good at Taulunga. I said, please tell me the truth. Was it better than and so that was what I was worried about. Heilala was probably the biggest nerve-wracking one because you're going to like your home country.
Oh, yeah.
So I was blessed. Yeah, so I was blessed. There was 25 of us. of us girls, and I was blessed. So I to be with them and meet them and everything, and like be like sisters for life with a lot of them. So I was blessed to. I got third runner up, and so yeah, that was a whole crazy experience in itself because you're in your homeland and you just the crowd for Australia Tongans like is nowhere near as hard. Yeah, it's like and my dad was actually warning me, and I was like, he's like, you know, when you go back there, like it's harsh, and I was like, okay. So like everything gets criticized, and so I did the sensible thing. I didn't read all the negativity. I read some negative things, but I didn't read all of it. But just some things like because my interview is my favorite category. Things like, you know, I think I went with the stage interview, I got like, it was like, oh, her question was easy or something, like things like that. And it's just like, I don't know. Well, I think by the time you get to Heilala and you just, when you've already gone through, it's just like, whatever, just bring it on. Yeah, you just have to have that mindset of like, remembering as well that everyone's going to have their own opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, especially when you're on stage in front of your own people. But yeah, it was a really crazy experience. I learned so much. There was like, we didn't sleep. I barely slept at all the whole like few weeks. I was so blessed that my fahu actually made all of I really loved that process actually. The whole process of, you know, when girls go to compete in Heilala, like their family and their villages make a lot of their costumes and stuff.
Yeah.
I really love that. I remember going into my auntie's house and she was making I think it was my float costume or something. My float. Yeah, it was, I just saw everything everywhere, you know, all the time. And it was just so like, I cried, obviously. But I was just like, it just really like, you really appreciate like your people, the people that do love you and are there to support you. And like, you know, like how everything's handmade, and that's a whole nother part of the culture that you really appreciate when you're over there, and you're like, there's no experience like it. So yeah, that journey was crazy too, just getting used to, and you know, everything was live, Facebook Live. So like,
yeah.
All the live comments are coming in. Oh my gosh, don't look.
And a lot of comments, mostly women, right?
Yeah, see, again, and that's the thing, like, and I think it's a normal thing, like a lot of, as girls, we love to see things like for example, I watched a lot of pageants leading up to it, of the Heilala pageants. And you know, you notice things and you pick up things, and like, I don't know why, we're just raised to, and society as well, like it always tries to get us against each other. But yeah, it was a really good eye-opening experience for me as well. Like I just grew so much, and I feel like it made me a lot more resilient. It's like being more comfortable around our people and everything. Like once you go through things like that and you just get comfortable with negative comments, you're like, it's fine.
Well, that's I hope anyone any girl out there that wants to be Miss Heilala, I hope this doesn't discourage you.
Oh no, don't let us discourage. It was so fun, honestly, and I tell like anyone, you know, any girl, I guess, it's so, you just grow so much in such a short time from that period of time. And that's why I would encourage it for anyone. Like from the time that I was entered Miss Tonga Australia all the way up until actually even beyond Heilala, like leading up into 2020, I went to so many like events, and you get used to being in you know, environments where you have to speak, and you have to speak on stage, or you have to I mean, even pageant where you have to interview. Oh my gosh, like you're so nervous and you get asked questions. It makes you so much stronger. I really would encourage, like, because once you put yourself out there, and you know, after you've done that, I feel like you don't regret it. And I told my mom that we were talking about, like, you really like, you feel like proud of yourself. You're like, you know what, I put myself out there, and you just realize you did the best you could as well. Like, I would strongly encourage, because I know a lot of, and that's the thing, I honestly feel like a lot of girls, especially young Tong women, they probably, the reason why I know that there would probably be a lot of young Tong girls that would love to do it, but it's just when you start thinking of everyone watching you,
And the
Like,
pressure and the criticism
yeah,
that comes with it. Yeah.
I honestly feel like that's what would hold people
Yeah.
back. But I don't know. I just feel like all of that doesn't matter when you see your family helping you. And I think that was the cutest and like the most heartwarming things. Like even things like that weren't on stage. So when we'd go to the Ulunga practice and, you see all your family sitting around with the band and stuff, it just things like that. You're just like, I'm so glad I'm doing this. And you're just you're representing your family and your villages. Like your whole Tongan pride like goes to a whole nother level, and your family pride as well. Like you just feel all that love. And yeah, I would highly encourage it.
Do it. Do it. Highly encourage
Growing
it.
so much. But
Go.
after that, after Heilala, I felt like of like, oh, I've been on stage in front of my own people and I survived. Like you feel like you can do anything. Even like, when I told you I fell on stage, like I survived it. Like, it's like there's nothing. You go through things like that and you just realize like if I can go through that, and I actually use it, I try and use it to like bring down my nerves or whatever. Other things, I'm like, if I went through that, like I'll be fine. I can
You
do
go
this.
through everything.
Yeah.
I know. Anybody out there that's watching, any girl that wants to be Miss Heilala or going to a pageant to get inspired from this video, I wish the best for you, but make sure you come hit me up and we can talk about it.